Welcome to the world of the Transgo Performance Shift Kit. In this video presentation, we will show you step by step how to beef up your Turbo Hydromatic 204R transmission fast and easy with the Transgo Performance Shift Kit. You'll love it. This transmission is about to come alive. This video shows a typical installation. Its purpose is to help you install this kit with confidence. Follow these rules to make your installation an enjoyable experience. While viewing this tape, stop the tape often to absorb the written instructions. Finish and review each step before moving on. Installing springs, follow the instructions for size, location, and color. When drilling any holes, follow instruction sheet for proper sizes. When plugging any holes, follow the instructions for proper chamfer, size, and location. Plugs are sometimes drilled to a specific orifice size. Before you install this kit, read page 9 and 10. Cautions, customizing, and optional items. These are the tools needed to do the installation. First, let's road test the vehicle to see if the transmission is in good working condition. We just want to be sure it has 4 forward gears in reverse. Place the shift lever in the D or third position, not the OD position. Push the gas pedal about a quarter throttle to feel the 1, 2, and 2, 3 upshifts. Then at 45 to 50 miles an hour, move the lever to the overdrive position to feel fourth. This will tell us if the valve body is working normally. Then try some upshifts at 3/4 throttle to see if the clutches and band are in normal condition. They're holding okay. Let's get started. Release the hood latch. Let's raise the hood. Remove the dipstick. Disconnect the TV cable like this. Our car is different here. Your car will probably look like this. If yours looks like this, then do this. Release the hood latch. Let's raise the hood. Remove the dipstick and set it aside. Remove the air cleaner. And put it on the bench. Disconnect the TV cable like this. Now, let's jack the front of the vehicle up like this and place 2 stands here and here. Now we can jack up the rear. When you're done, it should look like this. Please use sturdy jack stands. Before we go under the car, let's gather the required tools. 10 and 13 millimeter sockets, speed handle, long screwdriver, small screwdriver, drain pan, snap ring pliers, needle nose pliers, and some wiping rags. Let's make sure you have the transmission that this kit fits. Notice the pan is large, oblong, narrow here in the back, and has 16 pan bolts. Look here. On the driver's side, there is a horizontal electrical connector, shift linkage, and a line pressure tap. This is the right transmission. Let's get going. Place a drain pan under the transmission, favoring toward the front. The transmission pan is held on with 16 bolts. With a 13 millimeter socket and speed wrench, remove all the oil pan bolts except for one toward the rear here. Then loosen the last bolt slowly and let the oil run over the front edge of the pan. Lower the pan. This pan is clean except for a little debris here, which is normal. Lay the pan aside. Now let's remove the filter. While pulling down, slightly twist left and right until it loosens enough to be removed. Place the filter in the transmission pan. Make sure to remove the O-ring or filter seal from the transmission case here if it doesn't come out with the filter. Let's make a simple drawing of where the wires and switches go so that you can reconnect them properly. Now remove the bolts holding the wiring brackets here and here. Remove this bolt holding the detent spring, then any switches that may be retained with bolts. Disconnect the wires on the switches. Release the locking tab and carefully remove the wires at the case connector. With a 10mm socket, remove these two bolts holding the lock-up solenoid. Remove this bolt retaining the TV linkage and unhook it. Lay these bolts and parts in the pan. Be sure the drain pan is in place during valve body removal to catch the fluid that will drain from the trans. Okay, we can now remove the valve body. It's held in place with 15 10mm bolts. Some bolts have already been removed. Let's remove all the remaining valve body bolts except this one here at the rear. Make sure this is the last bolt. Loosen this bolt a half turn and let the fluid drain out. If the valve body does not drop down, the gasket is sticking. Use a screwdriver here to pry it loose. The manual lever link unhooks when the valve body is lowered and moved sideways. The valve body has check balls, but don't worry. The instruction sheet will show you where they go. Place the valve body in the pan upside down so it'll drain. Remove these 4 bolts. They're holding the second accumulator housing. Lay these parts in the pan. Now, while holding this small plate and separator plate, remove this last bolt and lower the plates. There are several check balls on top of this plate. Don't worry, the instruction sheet will show you where they go. Lay these parts in the pan. This 4th accumulator piston, pin, and spring may come out as the plate is lowered. Page 8 of the instructions shows how to reassemble the 4th accumulator. The converter will continue to drain, so be sure that your drain pan is still in place and large enough to catch at least 10 quarts of oil. Look here. This is where the pressure regulator valve is located. For better access, move the selector to the 1 position. Use a pair of long nose snap ring pliers like these to remove this snap ring. Be careful here. The parts above the snap ring are under some spring tension. Carefully push up and release a few times so the bushing will come down without sticking. Now remove the snap ring. It holds the TV boost bushing in the pump. Remove the 2 boost bushings and valves, along with the pressure regulator spring and valve. Use a pair of needle nose pliers to remove the pressure regulator valve if it doesn't come down on its own. Now take the pan with these pump parts and valve body parts to the bench. Let's take a minute and dry the pressure regulator valve. Let's turn the can over for air dry only. Set the original snap ring, spring, and these two boost valves aside. You will be replacing them with the new high-performance spring and valves found in the kit. Let the car we go. Since this is an in-car installation, the pump view where the boost valves go looks like this. And push them up into the bore, valve first, like this. Now this new intermediate reverse boost valve and finally the new TV boost valve and this new snap ring. Use a long, thin screwdriver to hold valves in place while using these snap ring pliers to install the snap ring. Push up and release a few times, checking that the snap ring is seated in the groove like this. Yeah, that's great. You'll need to be patient. Don't force anything. If you have trouble with the snap ring and just don't have enough hands, get a buddy to help you. Push in on this aluminum plug and remove the pin, plug, valve, and spring. Clean and dry the bore. You can discard the spring. Insert the new white spring from the kit. Install the valve. And then the plug. While holding in on the plug slightly, install the roll pin and push it flush. Let's take the empty transmission pan with us to hold some parts. Find the second piston cover. Look, it's right here. Let's remove this snap ring by prying in on the servo cover like this. While prying in on the cover, use the small screwdriver to remove this snap ring. Ah, there it comes. The piston has some spring tension on it, and the cover will move outward some. While turning the cover with a pair of pliers, pull outward until the cover comes out, like this. This one came out fairly easily. Now remove the entire assembly and put the parts in the pan. Let's take out the governor while we're under here. Remove these 4 bolts and carefully take out the governor. Put it in the pan and let's go to the bench. Clean and dry these parts. Use the drill furnished and enlarge this hole in the second piston and install the orifice into the hole with a punch. Stake it like this. There. Now it can't come out. This new white spring onto the tapered end of the pin. Let's install one gold washer on the other end, then this cushion spring. Now the steel 3-2 piston without the ring. This knob is away from the spring. Then 2 more washers. Now the second piston. And finally, the cover with this new O-ring. And look at the weights. There is a small weight and a big weight. Look down inside the big weight. If there is a spring down inside of the big weight, remove it and discard it. Look, this model did not have a spring under the big weight. Put the governor, the cover, and the new gasket in the pan also. We're ready to go back under the car. Install these parts into the servo bore, one piece at a time. There isn't much clearance on some cars. First, the pin and steel retainer with the white spring. Now install one gold washer, the cushion spring, the 3-2 piston, and 2 gold washers. Now lube and install the second piston into the cover with the new O-ring. Pry in on the cover and install this snap ring. To check for band clearance, look through this hole. The band must slide front to rear freely, 1/16 to 3/16 of an inch. Ours is just right. The band clearance is not critical, but it must have some. If the band is too tight, subtract 1 washer at B. Let's move on. Clean the old gasket from the case here. Now install the new gasket onto this cover with the governor and install them. Start the bolts. Tighten them evenly. Set the valve body and separator plate into the pan, and let's go back to the car. And pin go first. Retain the spring to the separator plate with some assembly lube. Be careful not to knock any of the check balls out of place. Raise the separator plate and use one of the short bolts from the cover to hold the plate and gaskets in place. And install the Z bolts here and here. Use one of the short bolts from the cover to hold the plate here. Now install the second accumulator and bolts. Tighten evenly. Looks good. Okay, now we need to remove this short bolt and install the guppy plate. Here it is. It goes on like this. Remove the Z bolts and the short bolt here in the center. Great. We're getting closer to the finish. Body up while hooking the manual link to the manual valve like this. Push it on up into place. Now install a bolt here toward the center of the valve body, finger tight. Now reinstall the bolts at Z, making sure everything lines up. Now install the rest of the valve body bolts. Remember to install the tube bracket and this detent spring. Now install this TV linkage bracket. Now install the solenoid with the two short bolts. Using the hand drawing that you made, reconnect all the wires. The wiring brackets go here and here. Now tighten evenly all the valve body and accumulator bolts. Go up under the hood and hook up the TV cable. Push this TV adjusting tab and move the cable housing toward the carb or throttle body as far as it'll go. Get a buddy to floor the gas pedal from inside the car. Check here to see if the throttle arm is bottomed against its stop. If it's okay, don't worry about it. Look, ours doesn't bottom against the stop, so the throttle cable bracket needs to be adjusted. While your buddy is holding the pedal floored, you can bend this throttle cable bracket away from the throttle arm until the arm bottoms solidly against its stop. Have him still hold the pedal floored. Depress the adjusting tab and slide the TV cable housing away from the carb firmly until it stops. Release the tab and let it lock. This is maximum TV. While the gas pedal is being held to the floor, go back under the car to see if the TV plunger is fully depressed. This lever will be against the bushing, right here. Looks great. Let's make a hacksaw mark or a knife mark here so we will have a reference point for the TV adjustment. This TV adjustment is critical to the life of your transmission. Our car is different here. Your car will probably look like this. If yours looks like this, then do this. Go up under the hood and hook up the TV cable. Push this TV adjusting tab and move the cable housing toward the carb or throttle body as far as it'll go. Get a buddy to floor the gas pedal from inside the car. Check here to see if the throttle arm is bottomed against its stop. If it's okay, don't worry about it. Look, ours doesn't bottom against the stop, so the throttle cable bracket needs to be adjusted. While your buddy is holding the pedal floored, you can bend this throttle cable bracket away from the throttle arm until the arm bottoms solidly against its stop. Have him still hold the pedal floored, depress the adjusting tab and slide the TV cable housing away from the carb firmly until it stops. Release the tab and let it lock. This is maximum TV. While the gas pedal is being held to the floor, go back under the car to see if the TV plunger is fully depressed. This lever will be against the bushing, right here. Looks great. Let's make a hacksaw mark or a knife mark here so we will have a reference point for the TV adjustment. This TV adjustment is critical to the life of your transmission. Check the new filter in this area for cracks. If okay, lube the seal and install the filter. Place the pan gasket on the pan and lift the pan into place. Start all bolts by hand. Now tighten all the pan bolts with a speed handle evenly. Double check each bolt. Install the air cleaner. Pour 6 quarts of fluid into the transmission. Now start the engine with the gear selector in the park position. Now immediately add 2 more quarts and check the dipstick for full. Look, it is still about a pint low. Let's add and recheck. After it warms up, we'll check it again. While the vehicle is still in the air, hold the brake and run the selector through the gears from park to reverse, neutral, D4, D3, second, and now first. Put the selector in the D3 position. Take your foot off the brake and accelerate, checking for upshifts. As it shifts, watch the speedometer change speeds. There's the 1-2 shift, the 2-3 shift. At about 45 miles an hour, move the shift lever to D4 and feel the 3-4 shift. Now step on the brake to stop the wheels and move the selector to park. Okay, we can lower the car. After our road test, we'll recheck the fluid level. Let's road test the vehicle and check the performance. Hold your foot on the brake and move the shift lever to the D3 position. Make some light throttle upshifts and feel for the 1-2 and the 2-3 shifts. Now move the shift lever to D4 and feel the 3-4 shift. This will tell us if the valve body is working normally. Do we have good, quick, crisp shifts with no delays? Yes, we do. Now try some upshifts at 3/4 throttle to feel the new firmness. This one is okay. Let's go have some fun. Yes, this transmission has come alive. We enjoyed developing this kit and hope you have as much fun using it as we had making it. We thank you for using Transgo products and look forward to serving you again with any of the other products that you might want or need.